and welcome. It is Friday. I've got another really interesting and brilliant guest. He is the amazing Crumbly Beard. Well, please introduce yourself and tell us all about yourself. I'm sorry that we're a couple minutes late.
Yeah, it's all my fault. Sorry. You want everything. I'm Tom. I'm from the Crumbly Beard YouTube channel. I basically talk nonsense about beer a lot on live streams and just basically as much as I can, really. I don't know. How much more do you want?
Well, I suppose we'll go into your channel because I love stats. I love numbers. So when I was looking through
I like numbers too. So this will be interesting.
When I was going through your numbers, your channel was amazing. Like I go through most people's that you have 70 views per day for your channel. Your channel's up 282 days. You got 70 views per day, which is one of the top views per day I've seen.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I found that amazing, personally.
I didn't know that. Well, I probably knew what it was per day, but I didn't know what anyone else is doing. So I didn't know if that's good or not.
Yeah, well, I'm doing about 4. So
okay,
and so that's comparisons. I'm a lot smaller than you. Yeah, so there's the stats. I suppose next question is, why did you start the channel?
Okay, I've answered this before in a couple of streams, but I'll do it again. And the answer is slightly different to I think most people who do sit in the beer YouTube space. In that I've really liked watching YouTube content for years, like probably from what people consider YouTube early days, and I've always been interested in doing a YouTube channel, making content. I've tried it probably a couple of times before, but without a real plan, if you like. Or let me rephrase that, actually, with too much of a plan. So I've tried to do content where I'm going to try and focus on this thing that I really like, and then ultimately after 2 or 3 videos, run out of ideas, not plan it well enough, and whatever. And then during kind of the second big lockdown, early 2021, I just went, you know what, I'm going to kind of wing this and try and just see where I land on stuff that I like and stuff that's relatively easy to do. Because the problem was, I was trying to do stuff before was always stuff that maybe needed like days or weeks of planning, which was ultimately always the downfall. Yeah. So to do something, I was like, I started on food because I like food. It very quickly fell into beer, and then realized I've been talking nonsense about beer to my friends for years. So let's broaden that out and see where we end up. And that's basically how I got here.
Okay, and who were you watching within the beer community before you started?
Honestly, no one really. I didn't know the beer community existed on YouTube before I created my channel, which is why it's kind of different to most people. I never saw anyone and went, "Oh, they're doing that. I can do that." I kind of just started talking about beer because it was kind of a natural progression of the first few videos that I did from food into drink and stuff that I like. And then as soon as I started, you know what it's like when you first start and you start trying to research and see what people are interested in. And all of a sudden I fell across thousands of beer reviews and, and loads of different channels. I was like, okay, there's something here. That's interesting. And it just kind of carried on from there. So I was broadly unaware, I think, of anyone in that space that was dedicatedly beer anyway.
Okay. And was it, how do you come, because you, John and Paul Beer Reviews are a pretty tight group. How did you come across them then? Especially John Armstrong.
So I think in the early days I watched a couple of Simon's Real Ale Craft Beers live streams on a Friday.
Yeah.
And I saw in there that John was posting under the Lord's Brewing Co. channel name about his beer, and it's something to the effect of he was basically promoting his stuff in the chat. Yeah. And I kind of messaged him in the chat on Simon's stream saying, "Oh, how do I buy your beer? I'd like to review it." And he messaged back saying, "Oh, we do a media pack. Come get this." So I bought a media pack from him, got it, and I started reviewing them. And then off the back of that, realized that he had his own YouTube channel, started watching his Friday kind of pre-streams. Yeah. And after a month or so, he said, "Do you want to come on?" came on. We came on one show, and we just kind of hit it off from there. Really, we just always gelled and got on with each other. And he's a very nice man, as you know. John's very very kind to everyone, and so yeah, kind of big thanks to him, really, for kickstarting it in that direction, I guess.
Yeah, John was the first who done one of these lives, so really nice. What's Phil saying? Yeah,
he is a terribly handsome man. This handsome John.
I suppose the next thing is what's the day job? What pays the bills?
So the day job is web and software development. I'm a geeky programmer.
So if I have any problems with computers, you could fix it.
Well, this is the misapprehension that everyone has. I've got no idea how a computer works, but I know how a web server works. So maybe is the honest answer. I like tech and geeky things. I'm not the I cannot fix absolutely anything, but yeah, I get on relatively well with computers for the most part.
Okay. And next thing is, how do you meet Dictionary Corner? We haven't seen her on
no,
the.
She's yet to be witnessed.
Yeah, I know what you said about her job, but I just generally, how do you meet her? You don't have to say much.
No, that's fine. So weirdly, we met in a room in college that I can probably just about see from my window, which is weird. So we didn't live that. Neither of us lived particularly close to the college that we went to. I was probably 4 miles away. She was maybe 10 miles away or something. And just as luck would have it, we ended up buying a house that almost overlooks the place that we met. So yeah, we met at college basically, but just weirdly, I say not more than about 3 minutes walk away from the house.
Okay. First beer.
Oh, first beer. Oh
Yeah.
dear, that's So I vividly remember trying, and by trying, I mean like the tiniest sample of my dad's beer when I was very young. Not stealing it. My parents were always of the approach of don't make it a taboo thing, because that's when you make it a problem. They'd obviously, not allowing a child to drink to excess, but there was no, or you can't try that because you're a kid kind of thing.
Okay.
So you could try it, but you can't have any more than that. But so I vividly remember trying something. I can't remember what it was, but it was definitely a bitter or something of that way, and I found it absolutely abhorrent at whatever age that was. But I guess my earliest, I'm trying to think of a real early beer to give you a bit more material on. So I remember being into Witchwood breweries at a very early age. Definitely pre-18, before they were bought out by Marsden's. So they're a kind of a big staple, and used to manage to get away and go to the pub with my dad when I was kind of late teens, but not quite 18. And they used to do a beer in there called Ye Old Trip, which is named after the Old Trip to Jerusalem pub in Nottingham, which is allegedly the UK's oldest. It wasn't that pub I was in, but it was the other one owned by Hardy and Hanson's at the time, which made that beer. So they feel like the formative ones, if you like.
And we say then during college years, what kind of beers were you trying, or were you trying?
Any during those years, anything. There's no refinement. No refinement during those years. I'll be honest. I know Carling's become a bit of a meme. I never liked it even then. I'd always buy Foster's or Carlsberg over Carling if that was the kind of the options. I just never liked it. But again, at a young age, I said it before, because people kind of like to hate on Desperados and that sort of stuff now. I remember vividly being 18 and quite enjoying that, because it's quite strong and very easy to drink when you're not really interested in the diversity of it and that sort of thing. And Belgian beers as well, kind of from kind of 18 onwards, was something that not so much in this country, but on the occasional holiday away, that's suddenly become a lot cheaper and a lot more accessible, especially in France and that sort of thing. So yeah, but I wasn't picky between the ages of 18 and say 26, probably.
Okay, so go to beer style. What's your?
Oh dear. Okay, so I find myself going in circles every year without fail, and it's not necessarily time of year driven either, with the exception of obviously really bready based lagers in the summer are always a win. But for the rest of the year, I kind of, if it wasn't for wanting to review beers and talk about lots of different styles, then I'd split pretty evenly between quite traditional British stuff, so best bitters and porters, and Belgian stuff. They're kind of my two half and halves.
So you want to add Carling then? So Shark.
No, Shark, you did not hear that correct.
But you take some of your Sharkweiser glass
I'll take the shark. Yeah, I'll take the Sharkweiser with pleasure.
Okay, favorite brewery.
Oh, that's such a hard question, isn't it? I think we have to go not necessarily favorite brewery right now, but favorite brewery long term. I think is probably the way to go with that. And I think due to the locality and in general they brew styles that I like, I'm going to have to go with Blue Monkey. I think it's probably going to be hard for me to sway away from that. It's always one of those things where people ask that question. I always think my favorite brewery isn't necessarily the brewery I think makes my favorite beers all the time, but it's the one that's consistent.
Yeah, the one you pick up the most.
Yeah, and given where they are, they're not far away. I think I'd probably go with them.
Okay. So tell us about your venture into homebrewing then.
Oh dear, well, it's a fairly short-lived venture to this point. So I thought it'd be really clever for me to. So I've always been interested in doing it, but also at the same time never done it because I thought that I'd probably never need kind of 20 plus liters of the same beer all at the same time because I'd get bored of it, and if it didn't go well and all that stuff, it'd be a waste of time. But then when I started the YouTube channel, it became a bit of an option because I thought, well, you've got to invest a certain amount of cash to be able to start doing it because you need the equipment and the ingredients and whatever. But I thought, hold on, if I can create a load of beer and produce some content off the back of it, then in my mind it kind of starts to weigh out a little bit. Which in hindsight was a good idea. In reality, it requires so much attention. I actually struggle to produce any content on it because I've kind of gone the opposite way of actually. I really enjoy brewing the beer, but I don't necessarily feel like I can make any videos about it yet until I get a bit more proficient at it. So I've only done 3 brews so far. The first one was good, but a bit messy, shall we say, a bit hazy, a bit not very refined. The second one was a lot more refined, but kind of messed up on the carbonation. And then it was just not enough, basically. It didn't explode, fortunately, but it was quite the opposite. And then the third one, we'll have to wait and see because it's currently doing its secondary fermentation in the cupboard. It's about 2 meters over there. So
thanks, Craig, for that. Yeah, so next, what kind of music and films you're into?
Sorry, music and what was that?
Films.
Oh, music and films. So I said years ago, I'd have said I was probably more into films than music, but I feel like both have kind of slid off the side of late. So music-wise, I take no shame in the fact that I'd not listened to anything new in about 15 years. But that's pretty solidly kind of late 80s onwards, kind of heavy metal, grunge, and that sort of thing. A bit of earlier stuff as well. I mean, I think I've said it before on a live stream, but I think the best gigs I've ever been to are Slipknot gigs, but they're not necessarily daily listening. It's maybe a bit much for trying to get your work done. But yeah, I like I like rock music as a whole as the easiest out with a slight lenience towards the heavier stuff. But I don't listen to basically everything while I'm driving. I don't tend to sit at home and listen to stuff because I normally put podcasts on or YouTube videos and that sort of thing during that time. Film wise, I'm big into anything that's got a lot of backstory or a lot of content. So it's probably a very generic answer, but like the extended Lord of the Rings trilogy, like if I've got 4 days off over Christmas where I've got nothing to do, that's an ideal situation for me. I can get into that kind of epic 16 hours or whatever it is to enjoy as one kind of sitting over a few days. Beyond that, I like a very kind of I think a lot of my friends have me down as really enjoying quite simple films, as in kind of non-mentally stimulating, so like high action and kind of fast cars and that sort of thing, which is
Fast and
true.
Furious kind of thing.
Sorry?
Fast and the Furious kind of.
Yeah, I do have a soft spot for the Fast and the Furious, but I was not that old when it came out, really. So I think that was more of a nostalgia kick than actually enjoying.
Can I ask what age you are to just put you into context?
Yeah, I'm 32.
Okay, you're making out you're older than 32.
I was weird, but when that must have come out, what, 99 or 2001, Fast and Furious? So it'd have been 11.
Yeah, I remember. I'm only 35, so you're younger than me. So
yeah, it's all right. It's because Goldrake's been shagging me all night about being old in my stream. That's why. So yeah, it's yeah. But when you're 11 and 12, that's still nostalgia at this point, isn't it? Let's be honest. But no, I like stuff with I like stuff with what I would consider like a median amount of focus required, if that makes sense.
Okay, you can answer Phil's question there. Phil's always good for the question.
What is his favorite CBeebies show? Oh dear, I mean, CBeebies wasn't around at that point, but I don't know. Would Thomas the Tank Engine be considered CBeebies now? Because I mean, he's named after me, so I'm quite pleased. That's all I can say. That, and I got big love for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I know wasn't on BBC, but they're my childhood favorites. So.
Okay. Next question is always an unusual one. Are you happy?
Yes. Generally optimistic in life. I try to be. I say on frequent occasions to friends and family members who will frequently complain about things that are out of their control, should I say, world events and the like.
Yeah.
Who get quite obsessed about negatives in the world. Well, if you can't do anything about it, if you realistically can't do anything about it, which they can't, then there's not really much point focusing your negative energy into it, because all you're doing is wearing yourself down in the process. So I try and be optimistic about things. So generally speaking, yes, I'm happy, but I'm also human and have good days and bad days like everyone else.
Okay. So everyone that's joined, if I don't read out your comment or if I don't put up, I'm sorry. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Yeah. So, do you wake up happy or sad, Dan? It's a different question.
Sorry, I missed that completely.
Do you wake up happy or sad?
Oh, well, I wake up sad because I love sleep. I wake up going, unless I'm doing something very, very interesting that day, I wake up going, really again? But it's not. It doesn't last long. It's just that I just enjoy sleep. To be honest, the alarm always takes me by surprise, so I'm instantly in a slightly bad mood when I wake up. But it never lasts very long.
Okay. Do you get straight out of bed, or do you go back to sleep?
I don't tend to go back to sleep very often, but I am quite bad at going, I'm awake, I'll get up in a minute, and then an hour later, I'm still looking through Instagram.
Okay. What is your earliest memory? Sorry if I
can't. So I I have two. One of which is probably the earliest one because it's quite vague. It's really vague. And then I have one where I remember like the first moment of like human concern, which was very young, but also in hindsight completely nonsense, as you'll find out in a minute. But the one that I think is the earliest one is just I kind of remember traveling somewhere in the back of a car in autumn with leaves dropping. It's like that's literally it. Like I vividly remember recollecting a moment. I couldn't tell you where I was going. I couldn't tell you how old I was. I couldn't tell you what the car was.
Okay. Can I ask you how you view that? Are you viewed it as an overview, or are you viewing it as a person, as a straight on?
No, that's a straight on. That's a straight on. Like that's out the window. I couldn't tell you anything else. What was going on in the car? Theoretically, it was probably mum, dad, and sister in the car because that was likely at that age. But I don't know. I don't know anything for sure. But that's a straight on out the window thinking. Weirdly, I feel like at the point, the reason I remember it is because at the point I go, I wonder if I'll remember this, which seems a little bit highbrow for what was probably a 3 or 4 year old. But I don't know. Maybe I'm making it up. I don't know. But that's what I feel like my earliest memory is.
Okay. What gives you joy in your life?
Oh, the dogs have got to be up there as very high priority in that one because they are one of those weird things in the world that will drive you absolutely up the wall at any given opportunity, but every other time they're brilliant. So that's got to be one of those things. And what really gives me joy is being able to free up time to do nothing as well. That is like being able to have headspace. I wouldn't classify myself as a workaholic, but I often, at any point where I find myself with more available time, I will fill it with something, if that makes sense. So any time that I manage to step away from that and just have time of nothingness gives me joy, I guess. Because it doesn't happen very often. If it happened every day, it'd send me mad. So it's one of those careful balancing acts.
Do you have joy in your life?
I mean, I think I've answered that based on the last one. But yes, absolutely. Dogs, dictionary corner, family, friends. I'm I consider myself very fortunate in that I don't have a lot of reason not to be joyful, if that makes sense. Again, have broadly speaking the same human issues as everyone else, but it's a mix of good fortune and a reasonable approach. Reasonable approach, not the right word. The optimistic approach, I think, balances that.
What makes you sad then?
That is a good question. Not one that I think about very often. Ultimately, my dogs won't live forever. That's a big one. That's kind of the biggest one. And I guess I'm trying to think how to word this because without it coming across wrongly is not the right word. Just it's not something I've ever tried to.
Yeah.
Try to explain. I'm quite keen of being in control of where I am, what I do, that sort of thing. I try not to just float through life, if that makes sense. I try and be in control of what I'm doing. And weirdly, not knowing what's around the corner means it's those things you can't predict. Let me put it that way. I like being in control. Therefore, the things you can bank on and guesstimate, I quite like. It's those unknowns that scare me. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Do you have something on in the background, or is it me? Because I can hear feedback.
Oh, it might be the beer monster machine. Let me turn my mic. Is that any better?
Yeah. It's just sometimes I'm not sure if other people are hearing it. I'm just hearing a little bit of feedback. Yeah,
okay.
It's gone now.
Okay, cool.
I know who you're going to say for this dictionary recorder, but
yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, yes, as a single answer, yes. Honorable mentions to parents because they're very good and supportive and still around. So, but yeah, but yeah, she's she's the day-to-day importance for sure.
And dogs come a second.
Yeah, well, you said people, so
Yeah.
technically, as much as they like to think it.
Okay. What's the meaning of life?
Oh, that's a great question. Now I really wish I could remember the answer from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy just to give you that one.
Well, they like just answer real or not answered.
Yeah, it's like the meaning of life is the meaning of life has to be discovery and evolution in whatever form you feel that's appropriate. So don't sit still because it will just pass. That's it's the need to move around and either discover new things, whether that's mentally, physically, or otherwise.
When's the last time you cried?
Ooh.
And you can't use a movie. I'm sorry, or you can't use a song.
No, that's fine. This is where my short-term memory becomes really problematic. I'm trying to think. Oh, I'm trying to think.
Okay. Again, everyone in the chat, I'm sorry if your comments are not read out. We're looking at them, and I'm trying to pop as many.
You can feel free to circle through some chat comments while I try and think on that one because that's really stumped me.
Yeah. Okay. 42 Hitch guy.
It's 42. Of course, it's 42.
Well, you should listen to your missus. Yeah, and you should go to your missus. Yeah. Okay.
I'm really struggling with that one. So you said it can't not a movie or a film. You were saying
Yeah, so it's like real life.
Real life event. Jeez.
We can move on. We can come back.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm sure Dictionary Corner will end up sending me a text message going it was then, and I'll happily tell you. I'm really struggling. I think she is listening downstairs. So if she's got any ideas, feel free to send me a text because I can't remember.
We'll circle back to it. So, did you have a happy childhood?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it wasn't. No. It wasn't always absolute bliss, but as in from just being in school and falling out with kids and other stuff like that. Family life was always great, thankfully. But in general, yes. Yeah, there's nothing especially untoward. I think there's again general human problems. I think I've had a text message. Let's find out. She's watching. She says she doesn't remember, so that's really going to be difficult. I'll let you know if I can circle back to it. I'm really struggling.
Experience any bullying in kind of school or younger years?
Not what I'd call proper bullying, not severe or intense. So, for point of reference, I was probably I'm 6'2" ish now, and I was probably 6 foot by the time I was 12. So I stuck out like a sore thumb when you go into comprehensive school, which automatically means anyone trying to make a name for themselves wants to take down the big kid. So there was a little bit adjusting on that, but nothing that a couple of seasons playing rugby didn't resolve. So not properly, no, I'd say.
So you played rugby because you don't seem a sports person.
So I do watch rugby. I watch international rugby. I don't have Nottingham's team isn't frequently televised, so it's quite hard to keep on top of unless you've got a lot of hours to commit to go into the ground. Now I played second row rugby for about probably about a span of 3 years overall. Probably 18 months was that. 18 months of that was for a dedicated club, and another 18 months just at school level.
Okay, just interesting. Lowest point of your life.
The worst point.
Lowest point.
Oh, lowest point. I thought you said worst pint, which is probably the same thing, to be fair. There was probably a time post college that I kind of felt like I wasn't intellectually very clever. So I've never been very good at exams, which poses a problem in traditional academia. It doesn't matter if you're clever or not. If you can't sit the exam, then you don't get anything from it. So there was a point post college where I kind of resigned myself to the fact that I was going to have to just go and do something that didn't interest me. Basically, it wasn't specializing in anything as such, just something that I wasn't interested in, and that was difficult. Fortunately, through some bizarre series of events, I ended up applying a year later to a university course, which I didn't get into, but they then said, would you rather go and do this one, which they were struggling to fill, which I went for and ended up doing very well out of, because that's how I learned how to code in basic principle. So it ended up quite well. But yeah, there was a point there where I thought I'm not going to be able to achieve anything of interest, if you like. And that was probably probably the low point.
Can I ask you what makes you really angry?
Cruelty to animals is the thing that instantly derives, which is weirdly a bit of a catch-22 when you live with 3 animals that constantly try and annoy you all the time. But yeah, they don't really know what they're doing. So that angers me more than anything else. A lot of people would probably disagree, but I find myself sympathizing more with animals than I do with humans for some reason.
Yeah. Have you ever been arrested?
No, thankfully.
Okay. Have you ever broken any bones? And remember, Stuntman Steve, though.
Sorry, what?
Yes and no. And he broke bones. Have you ever broken any bones?
Nose twice. That's it.
Was that Robbie?
No, that was rock concert. Both of them.
And how?
Caught flailing limbs. Nothing intentional.
So there was the punch up though in the pit.
Well, it was in the pit, but not intentionally by anyone. I got from memory, I caught a swinging hand at like a under 18s club night, and then I think once at Download Festival, I got an elbow to the nose afterwards. So I have got, if I sit side on and take the glasses off, there is a slight kink somewhere around there, but it's very fortunately quite straight on, so you can't really tell, and it holds my glasses on nicely. So
there's always positive points. What's your philosophy on life?
I feel like I probably already covered this, but it's try not to get trodden down by things you can't affect, because ultimately it doesn't help. Worrying about things you cannot impact, and worrying about things that might not happen, generally speaking, doesn't concern you. Now, there's always a limit on these things. If it's likely to happen, then you should probably concern yourself with it if it affects you. But generally speaking, don't get concerned about things that are unlikely to be true.
Okay. Religion? Are you religious person?
No, I'm not.
So no God.
Very statistically unlikely. I try and sit on the side of I guess reasonable explanation into everything. So as yet, no one seems to have any evidence to suggest any strong evidence. Therefore, I say it's unlikely. To say it's impossible would be not very scientific.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting answer. Different answer to other people. What inspires you?
People who persistently put themselves out of their comfort zone to try and do more or do better is what inspires me. It's not necessarily a single end result or a single thing, but people who are willing to put themselves out of what they consider to be safe to try and do something just better for themselves, I think.
Okay. Let's go to the comments. There we go. Have you overcome any bad habits?
I mean, I don't eat as badly as I used to, so that's one thing. Lost quite a bit of weight a few years ago. Put some of it back. Well, 18 months ago. Put quite a bit of it back on thanks to this YouTube channel. Well, not yours particularly, but mine. But in general, I still eat a lot better than I used to, and being a little bit more health conscious in that respect. Not massively. I still really enjoy food and bad food, but that's probably the standout thing. Probably get less angry whilst driving than I used to as a younger man. A bit more chill behind the wheel, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'll never consider myself to be a bad drunk, but again, probably a lot calmer now than 15 years ago. So
what's weird about you?
What's weird about me? Oh, many things. I mean, I live with 3 small interpretations of a wolf. That's quite strange, isn't it? What's weird about me? I think the thing that I find weirdest about me that I know some people get it, but most people I think don't. I really, really enjoy having time in absolute silence with no one else around.
Okay.
Like I really like. I don't want it to be because there's lots of people who are lonely in the world, and a lot of people who would like more human interaction and everything else. And it's not to take anything away from them, because I think human interaction is vitally important and is something I really enjoy when I'm ready for it. But once I've had a lot of it, I enjoy nothing more than absolute silence and serenity on my own for a while. Which is this is I don't know why it is. I think most people think it's strange, but that's why I used it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty constant with yourself. How many times a day do you check yourself in the mirror?
Oh God, once or twice. Well, let's go 2 to 3 times, because it's kind of obligatory. First thing in the morning, last thing at night, because there's a mirror in front of my sink, so I've got no choice. And I probably catch myself once on a mirror in the hallway, not very often.
Okay. Last song you sung to someone or sung to yourself?
This is funny because Dictionary Corner, if she's not clocked it yet, I'm waiting to hear laughter from downstairs, but I've not got it yet. Although the stream's probably about a few seconds delayed. Yeah, she started laughing. She started laughing, right? Because I was watching the Formula One qualifying before we came onto here. There was basically a few years ago. There was a trio of Dutch guys who basically created their own kind of Euro trash house music song about Max Verstappen. It's called Supermax. If anyone wants to look it up on Spotify by the Pit Stop Boys. And every time, we're getting to the head end of the season and quite fancy Max to win. So we start singing that every time he's doing well. So there you go. Supermax by the Pit Stop Boys. It's an absolutely awful song and will get in your head. Don't listen to it unless you want an earworm for the next 2 weeks.
Or someone could put in if they wanted to put the link to the chat, and then we'll.
I'm sure they will do.
Hi, Alan.
Alan.
Alan, Irish Beercraft.
He is.
Do you listen to other people's advice?
Yes, I do. I feel like people don't give enough advice. Either that or they don't feel like I need it. I don't know which it is. I don't get a lot. It's normally advice is normally is almost always from my dad at this point. I feel like no one else really says a lot. But yes, I do. I try to keep everything in mind. I don't always necessarily take heed of it, but if it's relevant, I remember it and try and make a value judgment at the time as to whether it's appropriate in that situation.
Okay. What was your first paycheck?
As in, where was it from?
Yeah, where did you work? First job. It doesn't have to be an actual check or.
Yeah. Okay, are we counting the paper round or not?
We won't, because we just said paper round, so we'll go something a bit more like
okay. My first, I guess, properly official job was Wix Builders Merchants. I don't know if you have them in Ireland. Part of the
they're under some other name.
They under Travis Perkins.
No, they're Chadwick's, but I think it's all one group that they're
right. Yeah. But anyway, Wix part of the Travis Perkins group. I worked there from college through certainly into uni. I can't remember how long for now. I reckon it was 2 or 3 years, but yeah.
So Phil Smith has a brilliant question. Why have you grown your epic beard?
Okay, I can answer this. I always liked the idea, and then once upon a time, a few years ago, the hair on the top of my head stopped growing as strongly. So I thought, well, we need to balance this out. And then I tried it a few times, and as anyone who's probably tried to grow a good beard will know, that you end up in a really awkward stage where it looks terrible for a long period of time before anything really happens. Fortunately, I got to that point just as we went into a lockdown, so it didn't matter. So I had about 6 months of being able to grow it out without anyone seeing me, and then that's kind of what happened.
Okay. Have you ever got instant buyer's remorse?
Instant buyer's remorse. I feel like the answer is yes, but not recently. So I've traditionally not been very good at saving money. Shiny things attract me. I feel like I've got better at it in the last 5-10 years or so, but certainly in my 20s that was not the case. I'm trying to think what an obvious. There'll be something, and I'm just trying to put my finger on what it would be.
Can I ask what you bought with your first proper paycheck? Did you go out and buy something after getting your first job?
I can't remember something explicit with the first paycheck.
Yeah, we're around the first, so we won't be too.
I reckon, but I remember buying tickets for the Download Festival at Donington Park, what was Monsters of Rock, but became Download. Back in 2000, I want to say 8 was probably the first time I bought the tickets for that.
Okay. Why do you regret buying them then?
Oh no, sorry, I don't regret buying them. Sorry, that was just my first. Sorry, okay. No, that wasn't buyer's remorse. That was just a big thing that I kind of remember buying with my own money. In terms of buyer's remorse, I tell you what, there's nothing big. I vividly remember though buying on more than one occasion sets of shoes or trainers from a TK Maxx and regretting it the moment I got home. And I don't know why, but it happened more than once for sure.
Okay. Can I ask what your first mobile phone was then?
The first one that was properly mine was a Nokia 3210.
Okay. First car.
Vauxhall Corsa 97 P Reg.
Did you pass your driving test first time?
Nope, second time.
Okay. How good of a driver are you?
How do you want on what scale? And can Dictionary Corner answer that?
10 being the most difficult parallel park you could ever do, and say 1, you crashed in an empty car park.
Between 1 and 10, I mean, if I was to use descriptive words, I'd say competent, but without absolute perfection.
So we go 7, 8.
We'll go 7. We'll go 7.5, something like that.
And what about Dictionary Corner?
Well, what's she?
Yeah.
She's good actually. So she makes more women driver jokes than I do, which is none. So it's got to be more. But 6.5.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm going to clarify that by saying she's very good at driving until she doesn't know where she's going, and then she's awful at driving. That's all I can say. So it's a bit of a catch-22. I don't know if she's messaged me with abuse yet. Let's find out. I have nothing, so we're fine. We're good.
Going back to the earlier question, you say you wouldn't take advice, or you say you would take advice. You often ask for advice.
Yeah, I think so. I like to sound things out, even if it's not necessarily going to yield a solid answer from the person I'm sounding it out with. I think talking about things helps clarify things. So yeah.
Okay, I don't know what the price is. Sorry. Phil, if you could come back with the price, I'm not reading all the chat. Have you tried any exotic meats?
Oh, exotic meats. I don't think I've had anything. So the most exotic thing I've had is ostrich. If we're going things that aren't available regularly in this part of the world, I think so ostrich. But I think a lot of people will probably have had that or seen it available. The thing that I've had that will probably freak most people out more than anything is horse.
Yeah. Well, we've all had horse. Everyone has had horse if you eat beef because.
Well, yeah. I mean, most of you don't know that you've had it, but I mean, what I mean is I've ordered it knowing that it's horse.
Okay. Yeah, I've had zebra, but yeah, we all.
Oh, how's that?
It was okay.
I bet it's good. I bet it's good. I mean, zebra is just a gamey horse, right? So it's got to be good. It's got to be good.
How much money do you have in your bank account right now?
Oh, geez, I've got no idea.
Average, 10,000, 100,000.
I'm doing the math because I know that this morning I got a ping on my text to say that I'd gone into an overdraft because I'd not managed my money properly because I'm an idiot. But then I had some savings that I put back in. So right now, about 700 quid, I guess.
Okay.
I need a beer. Let's find beer.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Phil, if I missed some question. I really apologize. Yeah, he's asking me to. Thomas. Okay, move on. Next question. let's see. Are you planning to make any changes in your life in the near future?
What are we classifying as near future?
5 years.
5 years. The answer to that would be I'd like to, but I think work for both of us would mean that's probably not going to happen. We'd potentially like to move away at some point, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Okay.
I've got no plans. You said, is there any plans? There's no plans. But it doesn't mean it won't happen. It doesn't mean nothing will happen. So no, there's no immediate plans. No.
Well, I count plans as you've had a couple of drinks and 2 o'clock in the morning, you and Square and Dictionary Corner are talking.
Might happen. Who knows? Who knows? This time we'll join you from a live stream from deepest Antarctica at some point in the next weeks.
Cool. Next question. It's up on screen.
What's your most treasured memory and what's your most terrible memory? And what did you want to be when you were small? Treasured memories. This is... What's the word I'm looking for?
Complicated?
No. There's a word that I'm trying to find in the back of my head, and I've had one too many beers to pull it out. It's gone. It's gone. What am I trying to think of? The word I'm trying to look for is the word that suggests that I don't get very attached to individual things. I'm not very sentimental. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
So I try not to. I don't generally get attached to very specific moments. Bringing the first dog home, that was quite significant, I guess.
What about your first date with Dictionary Corner?
I mean, it was to a horror film, so it was quite terrifying. Not sure why, because she doesn't like horror films, and I'm not that bothered. So,
I'm guessing you didn't see much of that movie.
Sorry?
I'm guessing you didn't see much of that movie.
Kind of. We live in a busy city. There's a lot of people there. I mean, I remember it vividly. Sorry, let me find the other quote. So, most treasured memory and most terrible memory. So, treasured memories. I think actually the first night in our own house, that was something quite like, when you're suddenly completely independent and on your own, kind of thing. That's that's definitely up there along with the dogs. Terrible memory. At this point, I'll be honest, it's something I'm going to struggle to pick out because weirdly, I've managed to get to this point in life without any great any great losses or trepidation. So I'm not sure, not quite sure how I pulled that off. But there's nothing, I guess, that severe that really sticks out.
I don't know if you want to answer Phil's question.
Phil's question, Tom. Who do you hate on YouTube? I mean, let's be honest. There's a large pool there on YouTube. We could go. Who do I hate on YouTube? I kind of want to answer that, but I'm trying to think of anyone who's really. It was like any channel that I'm in. Like, this is absolute garbage.
Do you think anyone is fake on YouTube?
Well, anyone at all? I'm sure, statistically speaking,
we'll limit that down to anyone in the beer tube community.
I don't think so. I don't think purposely, anyway. The danger of YouTube as a whole is that people are ultimately out to try and attract viewers and followers. Therefore, you can get lost in that obsession rather than producing what you think is genuine. But I don't think it happens intentionally for a lot of people when they maybe overstep a mark. So not particularly in the beer community as a whole. There's 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 probably one or two who are verging on an act.
Okay.
But I don't know that for sure, so I'm not going to name them because I don't know them in real life. So how can I possibly come up with that conclusion? You can have your suspicions, but again, strongly don't feel you should ever accuse anyone of anything unless you have relative evidence, let's say, because it's not going to help.
I'll give you an example. If you have someone that is opening a beer, smelling it one time, getting 20, is able to ream off a lot of information, taking maybe a little sip, able to ream off a lot more information, which is not possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, people on the track should know who that person is if they watch that beer. No, to watch a lot of beer reviews to know that one person, but we won't mention them.
No, and to be honest, I don't watch a huge amount of beer reviews each week simply for the fact that any beer that I'm interested in, I want to review. Therefore, I don't want my review to be influenced by someone else's. So, in general, the only ones I watch are the ones where I'm interested in the beer, but know full well I'm never going to be able to get that beer.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So I end up actually not watching that many. So, but yes, I'm sure there are. But
yeah, we'll move on. First crush.
Oh dear. Don't know. Britney Spears in those hot pants was kind of peak around that time.
We'll go celebrity and we'll go real life. So back in school or back wherever.
You want someone who wasn't a celebrity? Sorry, was that?
Yeah.
I was mildly infatuated with a girl called Steph when I was about 11. I want to say. In hindsight, thanks to the world of Facebook, dodged a bullet there. But that's it.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say to that. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and celebrity. So Britney Spears.
As an early one or a more recent one?
We'll go more recent then if you want.
More recent. Ticking this one over. I don't know. I mean, I've watched The Big Bang Theory on repeat so many times on Netflix that Kaylee Cuoco suddenly comes to light. But I feel like I've not really been infatuated by anyone of celebrity for a long time. So that's kind of the closest, but it's not a deep-seated thing, if you like.
Okay, that's okay. Do you believe in ghosts?
I want to give the sign. Do I believe that the spirits of formerly alive people are roaming the earth and terrorizing people? The answer is no.
What do you believe there's actual things?
Do I believe that there are energetic phenomena in places that make people think ghosts exist? Yes. I think there's reasonable explanations for everything, but it doesn't mean that there's not an oddity. If that makes sense. I just don't believe it's the soul of distressed people from the past.
Okay. Are we alone?
Oh, I always love this question. I know you answered it over. This is one I was really excited for. Statistically, we are not alone. I think statistically, we'll also never find out.
Yeah, there's 10 people watched us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, are we alone? Almost certainly not, and we almost certainly won't know in our lifetimes.
So you don't believe aliens walk among us?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Is the deep down. If I had to bet on it, I'd say no. If someone knew the answer somehow, and I had to put a £5 bet on it, yes or no, I'd say no. Because as we've proved in recent years, politicians aren't very good at actually keeping secrets. So, I'd say no. But hey, again, not I wouldn't draw it off as an impossible because it's got to exist sometimes. I thought about this way too much actually, because when I realized this is a question you asked everyone, I was thinking about it the other day when I was walking my dogs, which ultimately led to like 90 minutes of me throwing this question around my head. I kind of started coming up with things. I was like, well, we definitely, we're almost certainly assume we're not alone because statistically it's unlikely. And then, well, we've got these three options. We are either significantly more advanced than any other intelligent species, we are similarly advanced to any other intelligent species, or we're significantly less advanced than any other intelligent species, all of which pose their own problems. And then I realized that there's no reason that any other intelligent species would be able to survive on our planet as we would on theirs.
Okay.
So it might be we might not be alone, but we can't communicate because we might both get vaporized as soon as we land on the opposing side.
But do you not think if someone had the technology to go to their planet, that they would be able to at least communicate, if not walk, not land?
It depends on atmospheric elements, doesn't it? I mean, the reason we're starting to get very scientific now, but and I've drank too much to be properly scientific. But I mean, the reason we can land on the moon is because there is no atmosphere, right? So we have to take our own oxygen there. But actually, Mars is not inhabitable without breathing apparatus, for example, because it has an atmosphere, but the atmosphere is toxic. Well, there's no reason to believe that any other planet would not be toxic to us, even though it was acceptable to another life form. Like, it's just. But would we? I guess could you land there? Yeah, I guess so. But I mean,
how long? You believe the life form is advanced intelligence? That it's not like some single cell organism.
Yeah, I think there is definitely going to be at least a semi-intelligent multi-cell organism somewhere. This was the other thought I had when I was thinking about this question. I got on a proper tangent in my own head, which was, what if there's a planet out there with intelligent life where none of the creatures are more intelligent than us, but all the creatures are on average more intelligent than all of our creatures?
Okay.
This is what happens when I'm left alone with nothing to do.
We'll move on to the next.
There you go. That's fine. I want you to think about that, though. I want an answer.
Drugs.
Legalization, yes or no?
We'll go with drugs first. We'll take that question.
Oh, drugs? Question mark. I mean, anything. Well, are we taking? Are you? Is this explicitly?
No. You take the question whatever way you want.
Okay, I'm going to take it on the absolute top level, which is anything that impacts the way that your body behaves. In which case, it's a resounding yes, because drugs stop people from having cancer and anything down to having headaches. So, absolutely, we're currently consuming a drug of sorts. So that's absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Legalization of drugs needs to be heavily reviewed. Is probably, I think, the most sensible thing. There's a lot of stuff that is currently illegal that if it was maintained by a state entity would be a lot less dangerous and a lot more conducive to bringing in a load of tax money. So I'm in favor of drug reform. Do I think crystal meth should be available to buy in your local spa? No.
But do you believe that crystal meth should be in a government, let's say, a facility to buy?
Well, it depends on. I don't see a scenario where something like crystal meth is helping society. Let's say. Oh, and it shouldn't necessarily result in a jail term either. It's just but there's a lot of stuff that is akin to alcohol in use than in terms of its damage, so therefore could be controlled in the same way. But I'm not an expert on any of them to be able to tell you which ones should and which ones shouldn't.
So would you be okay with the legalization of heroin then?
The honest answer is I don't know enough about it to give you an answer.
Well, there's a referendum tomorrow. You have to put an X on your ballot paper.
Oh dear.
You're an intelligent person.
It's going to be a coin. It's going to be a coin flip. When you say, well, again, what's the repercussion? Is it anyone can buy it? Is it by prescription?
Well, you go to a GP recommends heroin. That will.
Oh, if a doctor's recommending it, then yeah, that's fine. Because then it's a controlled amount. Then that's fine. Because let's be honest, because they give people opiates in hospitals already, so it just makes no difference.
Okay, pretty good there. Last time you were rejected.
Oh, rejected. Probably for a job offer about 3 years ago, I guess. Probably job application 3 years ago, so.
Okay.
Nothing exciting, I'm afraid.
No. Expecting someone. What was your favorite subject in school then? We'll go back to school. I'm sorry about going back to school.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. No.
Favorite subject in school.
Let me think this one through. So in my school, when you went through to your final 2 years, so your GCSE years, you consolidated down what your design technology bits were.
Okay.
So you had a choice of like food tech or woodwork, or anyway, basically I chose graphic design in that. So it wasn't like it wasn't what people think of graphic design now, as in like pretty digital illustrations or anything. We're talking about like functional, like 3D schematic drawings for building sites and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that for some reason. Because it's kind of like it's got like a bit of artistic influence, but it's also quite math heavy. I mean, I liked IT because I found it easy, to be honest. Like that was the, it was one of those. It was one of the few. Like I'm not very good at exams, and I still didn't get an A in that, weirdly. But it was one of those. IT is just like at that point, because it was so relatively simplistic compared to what kids do now. I'm sure it was just easy. I didn't have to put a lot of effort in to get a good result, so quite enjoyed that.
Okay, what was your nickname? If you had one, I don't know.
I probably had a few. I'm trying to think of anything, but like they were more like passive, like one person decided to call you X, Y. You know what I mean?
Well, if there wasn't any general one, you can't remember it. We'll move on to
nothing really specific. There was nothing. There was nothing solid. No.
So teacher who inspired you, if there was any. You can answer no because that's.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. I don't know about inspire. I guess they did. So there was probably 2 or 3 teachers who not necessarily inspired on a level of like, oh, they said something and you like kind of like blew your mind. You're like, oh, that's amazing. But just kind of I guess their approach to teaching and ultimately having to deal with a class of 35 inner city school kids and still being really positive and actually getting people to focus. So I had an English teacher called Mrs. Sidery, who she was just, I don't know, I was never particularly big on English language or literature, but she was somehow very engaging, which
Okay.
was a perk. The graphic design teacher, he was again just very passionate about what he did, so that was always a win. And I'm trying to remember, there's a little anecdote about him actually, which it was the singer from Depeche Mode, the band, wrote a biography that came out maybe, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s. And he wrote about a guy in school that he was madly in love with. And that guy he wrote about was my graphic design teacher, who wasn't gay, for reference. He's just the guy from Depeche Mode was madly in love with him. So nice little anecdote there. And there was so my form tutor was a physics teacher. I did enjoy physics, but not to the point of running up. But it was that nice balance of genuinely nice human but strict when it mattered. And that was always one of those things. I was like, okay, there's a time to be serious and there's a time to be nice when you're trying to deal with difficult people effectively. So yeah, there's kind of 3 that kind of sit in the
You said
forefront.
your school was inner city. Was it a rough school? Was it a
No,
what kind of
not. It was really weird. So statistically speaking, my school was very good in terms of it was a state-run school and in a large city,
yeah?
but it did hold, at least when I was there or the years before I went, was statistically the best of the inner city schools.
Okay.
But at the same time, it was going through a period of change at that point where it gone from allowing people in who lived in a relatively small local area who ultimately was a more affluent part of the city to trying to, for whatever reason, they were told to open the borders basically into a lot of, and you know what it's like in inner cities, you can end up with an area that's very well off right next door to absolute poverty, which is always a difficult mix, especially when it comes to kids who don't necessarily know
Difference.
any
Yeah.
boundaries or appropriate things to say. So it was a very mixed school in that sense. But overall, yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't an absolute easy ride. If that makes sense, it was.
Yeah.
It was on the easier side, but only just.
Okay. What's on your bucket list?
Oh, good question. My bucket list is probably to be able to live somewhere where I can enforce that disconnect that I talked about before, where I can have the option of going, I don't want to see anyone right now.
Okay.
That's because I don't live. I've got neighbours immediately behind that wall. I'm just I live
You don't
in.
live in a castle like you were
No,
meant to be.
as Captain Meach Adventures would like to put out, I do not live in a castle. I have a conjoined house next to me. I have neighbours immediately all the way around, and I don't live in a bad area. But ultimately, people still make noise, and I I would like to be able to not have that at some point in my life. That's
So
my
you'd like to live in a house in the countryside, yeah?
yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
No.
That's it. I mean, there's lots of other things I've done. I'm lucky enough to have done a good number of things on my bucket list. There's endless, Formula One races I'd like to go to and stuff like that. But that's the one that really sticks out as that's an absolute end goal for me.
Okay. Last thing you Googled.
Good question. Shall we find out? Because I can't remember. Let's have a look, shall we? Right then. History. We'll have to show full history because I can't remember. Where's Google? Where's Google? Weirdly, nothing for. I can. All right. I'll tell you what the actual last thing I googled was. It's really, really dull, and you won't even believe me. So I'm going to go back to the next bit. The last thing I googled was the Google Search Console, which is an admin tool for website owners, which is really boring. Let me find the thing before that because that's really dull. Oh, I'll tell you what it was. The last thing I googled before that was actually nothing to do with Google itself was I got a message from my mum's cousin this morning to say that she's got a friend who was adopted and through an ancestry DNA test was trying to locate members of her genetic family.
Yeah.
And that person didn't have an ancestry account, and my mum's cousin does, but because of a lack of technological know-how, she couldn't find. So, like, she'd been sent a screenshot of "I'm related to this person. Can you message him?" But she didn't know how to find that person from a screenshot. So I did a load of reverse engineering searches on images to locate the person in question and managed to send them a link to their profile to do it. So there you go. That was a bit one of those weird, fortunate events that doesn't happen very often, but it was quite interesting. But using some of my day job skills to help someone out.
Okay. So if you're standing in front of your 16-year-old self, what advice would you give them? Come on.
So it would be something along the lines of don't don't hesitate or just trust in your decisions, because I feel like between the ages like 16 and 25 or something, I was a bit afraid of making the wrong decision.
Okay.
And I feel like had I just been more like yes rather than a bit edgy and not sure, then maybe not that things would have turned out better, of course, because I don't not necessarily would, but I think I might have had a mentally easier time with the approach that I have now back then, if that makes sense.
Okay. And how would you describe that to your 16-year-old self?
I think it'd be something really, really annoyingly generic, like trust your gut instinct or go with what you feel, or stuff like that, rather than or just stop second questioning stuff.
So are you trying to say just say yes?
Effectively, or not say yes to everything, because you'll end up in a whole load of pain if you do that. Just trust self instinct is the one, I think.
Bit more confidence. How would a friend describe you in 3 words if you have any friends?
I think I have some, hopefully. 3 words. So people often describe me as organized, but I don't feel like I am. But apparently, I am compared to them. So I think organized is going to go in there.
Organized.
Organized. Helpful. I'd like to think. I try and be helpful in any situation I can. I think that's we're gonna have to throw a negative in there to balance this all out.
Controlling.
Yes and no. You're on the right lines, but it's not about. I have a bit of a. I have a bit of a want to know what's happening. So I'm very bad at just like not going. If you said, if someone said to me, "Do you want to go here?" And there's no set plan. We'll just go with the flow. I'd say yes, and I'd be fine with it. But if someone said, "Oh, I want to go do this great thing. We're going here," like it was like a big event or like to like a far-flung city across the world or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, great. What are we doing then? And they'd be like, oh, we've got no idea. I'm like, what do you mean you've got no idea? Like, there's like a little bit of that kind of like, I need to know a plan. Unless the plan is to have no plan, then I'm fine with it. It's a bit of an oddity that I can't quite dictate well. He's going through notes. This is terrifying. What are you?
We're on the next page. Don't worry. There's 5 pages. We're on 64.
So yeah, is that a good enough answer? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I'll do that. If you're who would you want to be stranded at a desert island with?
How long for?
We'll go 6 months, and we'll go. It's off the west coast of Ireland.
That's very specific. Look, the only person I've ever managed to spend, broadly speaking, 6 months without them driving me insane is Dictionary Corner. So,
okay, so you got to bring Dictionary Corner. So you got to select what 3 items are you bringing? You can bring your dogs. Your dogs can be not.
Oh, that's good. As long as the dogs are there, that's fine. That's fine. That's a whole level of anxiety that I don't need if they weren't. That's good.
Yeah. So what else are you gonna bring?
So she's there anyway. We need someone else.
No, you need 3 items. The dogs don't count as 3 items you have to bring.
Oh, 3 items. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, oh dear. Right then. I'm trying to work out whether spending hold on a minute. Is there internet on? Is there Wi-Fi? Is there 3G on this island?
No. You have no electric. You have no water. You have no power.
There's nothing. Oh, okay. We're going full. Okay, we're going full. What's it? Right.
It's a desert island. Yeah.
That's okay. No, that's fine. Can I bring my van as a whole?
No.
No. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 item. It's fine.
Okay, so if I bring my van as a whole, that's a van full of diesel, which will run the heater for the entire time. To be fair, so that's good. So we've got shelter now, and cooking equipment, which is good. Is there food on the island, or do I need to bring that too?
I haven't got this. It depends what you can do. So it's an island. You can fish.
Oh, okay. You can hunt on the island, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and if I've got the dogs, then they're very good at that, so that's fine. So I don't need food. Okay, well, in that case, it's going to be like an entire pallet of cask beer for me and an entire pallet of red wine for her. We'll have a great 6 months.
Okay. What's the last lie you told?
Ooh.
And you can leave this stream over any of the questions I've asked. You can't. That's too soft.
No. Trying to think. I told at work this week, somebody while I was on holiday caused me an unnecessary bit of work to do. I just claimed it took 4 times longer than it actually did to resolve because I wanted to be better about it. There you
go. Are you a clean or messy person?
I am. In terms of like sanitization, I'm clean. In terms of tidying things away, I'd say I'm on the messy side, but not prolifically.
Okay.
I'm messy. I'm messy to a point in terms of like my desk is kind of like a chaos of cables and stuff, and then in a few days it'll be spotless, and then it'll work its way up to being chaos over the next 3 months, and then it'll be spotless again. Like I'm not very good at putting stuff away, but I don't like genuine. I can't deal with genuine dirt very well.
So if money was no object, what would you do all day? Now I'll give you. I don't give people this. You shouldn't think about yourself. You should think about more than yourself.
Oh, okay. Money was not. So are we just to be? Are we talking about an endless amount of money?
Yeah, trillions. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. If it's an endless amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely endless.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to go at here, and there's endless.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like I'm in three spaces. One of those spaces is me being able to fling between absolute serenity in the wilderness with my dogs and then brilliant city life with great food. That's just what I'm doing, flicking back and forth between the two. There's another part of me that's trying to work out the most effective way to help other people who are less fortunate, which unfortunately doesn't mean just giving them loads of money, because as we all know, when you give money to places with questionable governments, that money doesn't reach the people who need it. So it would be more of a mental task to work out how to help them rather than just donating money. We airdrops of whatever they need and that sort of thing. And then the pedantic part of me would be in some sort of Twitter war with Elon Musk, trying to work out who's got the best space rocket. And that would be the side that everyone remembers, but it's not the side that we actually spent the most money on. So, yeah, it's a triple faceted answer there. There's the me, there's the philanthropy, and then there's the bit of piss taking. Because sorry, I know I've clearly missed an entire spectrum of me. It'd be me in the middle of nowhere, me enjoying good food in a city probably, and me heading onto a racetrack in probably one of the Ferrari XX program cars. So yeah, but yeah, there you go. That's everything.
So if I had to tell you about more than you, I would say end homelessness, end world hunger, little things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I wouldn't. I never like to like when it comes to anything like that I'm not like sat and done endless amount of research on, because I mean I don't have the money to help anyone, so I can't do it right now. But given in that position, my first priority would be work out who needs it, who needs help the most, and then after that, how do we help them effectively? Not just throwing money at a government who's going to use it to build more lithium mines to build more MacBooks. Like, you got to work it out properly.
Okay. Favorite family tradition, if you have one?
Not super big on the family traditions, but I reckon it's more of a East Midlands of England / Nottingham tradition to eat some sort of meat wrapped in pastry on Christmas Day morning. And for me, that's sausage rolls. And it's the most weird breakfast, and it's instant indigestion, and it's horrific, but I love it all at the same time. There's something about it that excites me every year.
Introvert or extrovert? You've answered about childhood memory.
Favorite childhood memory? It was probably the moment where I realized that it is possible to get what you want by persistently nagging someone. Because without fail, 36 hours of asking for a Buzz Lightyear toy did end up resulting in a Buzz Lightyear toy. Okay. I'm not sure if that's my absolute favorite, but it's what sprang to mind. Sorry, no, tell a lie. Bringing out the inner fat kid was I did once go to Disneyland as a kid, which was where that Buzz Lightyear happened. But I just realized the thing that I actually enjoyed most about that trip was the size of used to be, I don't know if they still do it, but instead of going to a stall like a food stall and buying like some chicken wings, you could buy a turkey leg, which you would think was a bit bigger than a chicken wing. No, it's like that. it's like a weapon of meat, and it was just the best day. So yeah, there you go. That's my answer.
So introvert or extrovert then?
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of of the opinion that there's a lot of people who are really neither, if that makes sense. So
you're neutral?
I think no. So neutral suggests you're always a bit indifferent, and I kind of find myself like I have need for both, but I have a real need for both, if that makes sense. I need them to be almost even, but at extremes. So I don't know. I'd probably go. I suspect I'm introverted most of the time, but it's combated by very intense moments of extrovertness.
Okay. Craziest thing you've done for love?
Oh.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
I probably get a message from Dictionary Carter.
Yeah, it's going to be a message in a minute going. There's going to be a message.
You've never done anything.
Yeah, you haven't done anything for me, so you best not say anything. Is what it's going to say. I am struggling with that one. We've been together too long. We've been together too long. We've been together for half our lives, so I'm really struggling with that one. It would have been something.
We'll move on then.
Yeah, it would have been something daft 16 years ago. So I'm really out on the. I've had too many beers since then.
Buying a glass of wine. Okay, perfect day.
Oh, okay. That's quite easy. It's gonna be quite. It's probably going to be relatively simple. So, perfect day would be. Well, a perfect day would be a day that can't really exist because I would like it to be. I'm a fan of cold weather, properly cold weather, crisp cold, not claggy British cold. But also quite like a lot of daylight hours. So it would be up semi-early, properly good dog walk, full English breakfast, and then I'm kind of torn between watching some great motorsport on TV and actually participating in some, i.e. a track day. I can't decide at that point whether I could actually be bothered to do the track day or not. If given endless energy, then I'd be driving myself. But if not, then it'd be watching other people do it. And then it'd be you're going to find out this is going to be mostly food driven. So it's going to be probably some quality kind of meats and European cheeses, kind of light lunch, but still quite over the top. Some excellent American barbecue for dinner, and then an entire night in a proper cozy pub is probably my ideal day.
Okay, we'll answer Square's question. Have you ever been to
Belarus? I have not. I cannot say. I've never been.
Okay.
So nothing about it. Oh, Dictionary Corner's hassling me. Oh, she's just provoked the best possible answer to what was the most extreme thing I did for love, and that was that when her parents moved house up to Scotland, there was a large delay, and they lived in our house for 9 weeks. And the fact that I put up with her mum for 9 weeks is the most insane thing that anyone's ever done. You kind of had to be there, but she's not wrong. She's not wrong.
So I say that dictionary corders, but it's hard to put up it.
Yeah, basically. She's basically saying her mum is the most extravagant thing anyone's done.
You have 3 dogs, don't you? Squares after how many dogs you have.
I do have 3, and I think they've all gone to bed. They wouldn't be very pleased about being dragged in, I'm afraid. But Joey, next time we're on a live, I'll bring them all in.
Okay, if you could live in another time period, what time period would you live in?
I don't see any strong reason not to live in the present, the most recent point. Because, okay, the music might have been more exciting 30 years ago, or the changing of times might have been more exciting 50 years ago, whatever. But ultimately, the quality of life has never been as high overall throughout the world as it is now. So it's a hell of a risk to say anything other now, because there's no guarantee you're going to end up in a nice place.
Okay. So if you could speak another language, what would it be? Maybe speak another other than English. Maybe speak more languages. I don't know.
I've got 3. Can I go through 3 with explanations as to why? So for work reasons, knowing Chinese would be very beneficial, because you could manage Chinese teams, which would put you in a very unique position in our industry. That's basically that's the monetary kind of check off. I guess the leisure kind of part of me would like to know Norwegian, just because I like the country, and it's not a very easy language to learn. And it's cold there, and I'd like to spend more time there, but it's not practical to do so. And part of me would love to know Italian fluently, because I have big love for their food and motor racing and everything else. That's just kind of that's the hobbyist, I guess portion.
Okay. Next question. If you could remove a color, what?
Remove one color. Oh, don't give me that power. Hold on. Geez, that's a lot of that is a lot of power. One color. What would it be, and why? You know what? I'll tell you what I'd remove. I'd remove every shade of beige from the Dulux color chart, is what I'd do. I really don't like warm white walls in houses. Right, paint them white or paint them a color. I just have a thing. I know lots of people who, I'll just offend everyone in the chat, and probably you, but I just don't like it. It's just in fact, I don't even hate it in other people's houses. I hate that it's an option for my house, and I refuse to have it. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I don't like. It's like that, and like brown corduroy trousers, everything in that kind of range. I'm like, I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. So
okay. Most famous person you have met?
Ever met? Oh. So, we need to. Can we deliberate? What constitutes having met them?
You've actually shaken their hand. You've talked to them. You said hello.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Have I actually met anyone particularly famous?
Besides John from North Broad.
Yeah, I mean the guy. Yeah, I mean that guy's huge. Have I met anyone particularly famous? I don't think I have. I mean, I met Jimmy Broadbent the other week, which was exciting. He's semi-famous. And I've known a couple of people before they got semi-famous.
Okay.
But They're not really. They're only famous in the right circles, if that makes sense. They're not proper celebrities. I'm trying to think. There's got to be someone. It's got to be someone. Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. So I'll say the name and you'll say I don't know who you're talking about. Then I'll describe and you go, oh yeah, I think I know who you mean. So there's a Scottish mountain bike and stunt rider called Danny McCaskill, and he brought out a load of special videos over the last 5 years where he was doing just mental stuff across Scotland and like really like well high produced stunt videos that went viral every single time he brought one out. Have you got any idea what I'm talking about? I feel like everyone must have seen one of them.
Probably not, but
No? Okay, I met him. Yeah, I don't know. I've not met many famous people, is what we can conclude.
Who is someone you really admire?
This is the sort of question I should have been prepared for, isn't it? Who do I really admire? My default reaction is I'm struggling to pick a name out, but I'm going to try to. But my default reaction is anyone who has basically done well off their own back, if that makes sense. Anyone who puts the work in and has got out the other side, kind of thing.
So, like Elon Musk, someone like that.
A little bit, but to be honest, he wasn't exactly hard to do in the first place. So it's not. It's a bit. I mean, he's done great stuff, but no, it's more like. Sorry.
Your mother, your father.
I mean, my dad's in that bracket for sure, without doubt. But it's just I don't know. I feel like over the years you talk to a lot of people who you're like, okay, you always have that feeling is like, oh, you don't feel like you just got here because you ought to. You got here because you put the effort in, if that makes sense. Whatever degree of life that is. That's not necessarily. I'm not necessarily talking about millionaires and billionaires. I'm talking about anyone who's just into that position where they're happy and comfortable with themselves and where they got to. Yeah, I want to come up with a real. What was the phrasing of the question? Sorry, again.
Who is someone you really admire?
I mean, if we're going to take it on like a really, really basic level where you don't put too much thought into it, Corey Taylor, the lead singer from Slipknot and Stone Sour, like I just have desperate.
What makes you smile? What made you smile recently?
When I found out that a growth on my dog's leg wasn't a tumor.
Okay.
That's probably the best answer.
First person on your hit list.
Oh, the hit list. Jeez. Jeez, the hit list. Can we take a very small break so I can run to the toilet and refill my beer while I think about that question?
Yeah, no problem.
Fantastic. Are you staying on the stream?
I'll stay on the stream, yeah. No problem.
I'll pull up the away screen. I'll be back in a moment. Okay. Once I can find it. There we go.
So thank you for everyone who's watching. Thanks for all the comments. I'm sorry if I don't not read them all, but I'll go back on them. Yeah, so I really appreciate all the comments and I really appreciate watching. Let's go back and a few of them. Yeah, these are out of context. I probably don't remember now. Steve Sachs. I don't know who that is. Sorry, Kev. I'm useless with celebrities. Julia Burrow. Okay. So what's everyone drinking? What's everyone doing? Any plans for the weekend? I've met Chris and Dave. Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, so what's everyone drinking? What's everyone doing? I'm used to the comments. I read them out to myself and I don't get it. Shark, or Kev, next guest is not confirmed yet. I have no one for next Friday. There's one or two people. It might be actually a Friday live. It might be during the week. So yeah, that's next live. Can't confirm anyone yet. Smoke it up. Okay. Shark, I have the Ice World Truckers guy coming on. Oh, really interesting. Which guy from the Ice World Truckers have you on? I used to watch that a good few years ago. It doesn't be on as much on television here. I don't know what. Ooh, sounds nice. Joker I tonight. I just. Okay, Joker. Yeah, we don't get that over here. Hasn't been in. Is it Algier Little's in over there? Haven't seen it over here. Square. Crisps. Okay. Let's see. Drinking my smoked Pilsner. Posted my first ever YouTube video. Dutch. Oh, really good. If someone can put the link into your channel into the chat and people go follow. Yeah, I'll check it out later on. I'll check your channel, or maybe if I can do it now. Probably can't. If I can get my phone, I'll find the channel and give you a sub. If I'm not already spoiling you, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, really good. Brave move. Anyone puts a video out on YouTube. Oh, sorry, sure. No, it's matter. Yeah, I'll have to change that. That takes me for ages to change these things. Check on my phone. I've got no signal on my phone. You're back.
Hello. You're back. I'm back.
So why we talk?
So, hit list was the last question, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I still didn't grab a beer.
You should be a monitor spanner now.
What we're gonna have? Let's go for a dark beer this time. Hit list. Well, I keep trying to think of interesting answers, and the name that keeps coming back into my head is Piers Morgan for some reason. The guy's just a tit. You guys just a tit. Piers Morgan's on the hit list. Was that how many do I have to list?
I just one. Who's on your hit list? First person.
Yeah. I mean, he's just up to no good, isn't he? I mean, I'm sure if I gave it a bit more research, I'd come up with a raft of world leaders who probably deserved it more. But that's the instant answer that comes out because the guy's just up to no good.
Let's see. Next question. Remember.
Just for legal purposes, a hit list. What we're talking about is whacking them over the head with a giant inflatable hammer, right? So they don't actually die. It's just a comedy splat.
It's a bit of a complicated question, but if you could answer it.
If you could pick a theme song to describe where your life is right now, what would you choose? Oh, I've got to try and remember loads of songs now. Okay, I'll go. I've got an answer, and I'm going to go with Beastie Boys. Fight for your right to party, because I feel like I should fight for it, but I kind of don't want to do it. I feel like it would keep me young, but at the same time, I'd like to go to bed. That's the answer there. But like inside, I want to party. Outside, I actually don't want to.
There's the link to channel, so everyone go follow and share.
Has Bramwell got a channel now?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, first video is out. It's in the chat there when you were on break.
Wow. Bramwell's got a channel. I have to find it. I'm gonna have to find it.
How good are you at mimicking people's accents?
So individuals or accents broadly would be.
What would say like a Scottish accent or a Yorkshire accent or something?
So I feel like I'm quite good when I'm not meaning to, if that makes sense. So like if you asked me to do one, I'd probably butcher it. If I was like passively saying a phrase that suited that accent, I'd try it and I think it'd go quite well. I'm trying to think if I can. I mean, is it appropriate to do it on stream? Well, we can do it on stream. I'm sure it's fine. What accent do you want to go for? And can you give me a phrase that you would like? And I'll give it my best shot.
We'll go Irish accent and we'll go top of the morning. Okay, no one actually says that, but
of course they are. Top of the morning to you. Is it terrible?
Yeah.
I told you it'd be terrible if you asked me to do it.
If you ever come to Ireland, you have to do that to everyone.
Everyone. Just in case you weren't assaulted the moment you got off the plane. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so most illegal thing you've done, if you can answer it.
I'm trying to think what classes as illegal.
Well, have you ever downloaded a movie illegally, illegal streams?
Yeah, not recently. Yeah, a while back. I mean, I've but you asked for the most illegal thing, so I'm trying to work out the most. I mean, not that I've done a lot, but I was trying to work out what's the most illegal thing that I would have done that you can actually confess to. Not that I'm trying to think of any, but I think. Okay. I know. Okay, I've got a good one.
Okay.
Which I think I can willingly say on two levels I can no longer be accused of, which is speeding in another country, and it was more than 2 years ago.
Okay.
So we got a good shuffle on somewhere between Belgium and France. I couldn't even tell you. I genuinely don't know whether it was in Belgium or France, so I can't even tell which authority to look out for it. But I got my van up to a decent rate of knots over a ton, which for a van is quite good going. So
okay. Okay. Yeah. Next question. Who wants to come up?
Oh, one meal.
Eat one meal for the rest of your life.
Okay. Proper, freshly made, no nonsense Italian pizza is the answer.
But that's the only thing you can eat now.
Yeah, honestly, because like it's not stodgy, it's not greasy. It's I will never get bored of bread. I know that for certain, and the Italians do it properly. So almost the most simplistic version of that is probably what would be the better.
If you're a superhero, what superpower would you have?
I feel like you need to be careful not to just tip over into super villain territory here. What would we go for? I mean, flight's convenient, but I'm not sure is it the most. Are we getting one power?
It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go for. I'm gonna go for like Iron Man level intelligence because as a result, you can do an awful lot of stuff.
Okay. Favorite place?
Oh, favorite place. Are these two? Are they separate questions or a collective?
A collective questions.
Okay, collective. So favorite place to live.
Yeah.
I would like somewhere in the middle of nowhere on the west coast of Scotland, high up is the honest answer because there are there's places in Scandinavia or in Canada that are maybe slightly more dramatic in terms of scenery and weather and everything else. But ultimately, they're a plane flight away from the things you actually want. Whereas you get 90% of the scenery and the atmosphere on the west coast of Scotland, but you can drive within a couple of hours to a city and get every amenity you could imagine. So that's my answer.
Okay.
And the beer's good.
Would you be friends with yourself?
I think so. I don't know for sure, but I think so.
Okay. Do you know what knowledge is?
Do I know what knowledge is?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, knowledge is a word created by people, so its interpretation is open, isn't it? But I think knowledge is the understanding of the result of actions.
Okay. Do you know what intelligence is?
Intelligence is the ability to learn.
Okay. Do you know what's the difference between two of them? This is very
It is. No, it's fine. So knowledge is the ability to recite something learnt. Intelligence is the understanding of how to learn something new.
Okay.
I hope. Maybe.
It's your interpretation.
Would I go to space if I knew you could never come back to Earth? Am I going alone?
You're going with Elon Musk to Mars.
Probably not. I like him. I reckon he'd become grating after the first 69 hours. I don't think. No, probably not is the answer. I've seen nothing from space so far that suggests it's significantly better than what we have here. So I'm gonna stay.
Okay. Have you ever been mistaken for someone famous?
The only time was not properly mistaken, but did you ever watch that film where Nick Frost played the dad of an upcoming female wrestler?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so everyone thinks I look like. A few of my mates say I look like him now in that film.
Okay.
That's the closest I can give you. What animal would you choose to be? So can I choose can it be situational, as in I get to choose where the animal's living, or
Yeah, go on, yeah.
I mean I feel like one of my dogs has got it quite cushy. So that's a strong answer. Besides from that, I mean, let's be honest, pandas are pampered beyond belief and they get to do what they want. So that's it's another appealing Another appealing answer there. All the cool answers like wolves and bears and stuff ultimately have quite difficult lives. So as much as the animal themselves are cool, I'm not sure the existence is that is that much there. So
Okay, so it is a dog in your house, yeah.
it's a dog in my house or a panda in any zoo in the world. They probably got it cushy.
Most embarrassing thing you've ever done is?
Ooh. Most embarrassing. It's the stunned silence that's now getting me. I'm very much looking forward to the day that someone interviews you with your own questions, by the way. I find it very interesting.
That would never happen.
Most embarrassing. Right. I kind of know that it's definitely, I'm trying to pinpoint a moment. I'm really, really bad at remembering people's names. And I know full well I've made a proper howling mistake before with someone's name. And I'm just trying to remember what it was. But I'm really struggling with that one. Most embarrassing moment. Okay, I'll tell you what, for the purpose of bemusing the people watching, I once got kicked out of the girls' toilets at an under-18s gig. That's all I'm going to say.
You have to tell more.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. You can't leave it there.
I was briefly dragged in and then very briefly kicked out by a very large security guard. That's all I can say.
Okay. Can I ask who you're dragged in by?
Sorry?
Can I ask who you're dragged in by?
I'd like to tell you, I'd have no idea. It never. I didn't have time to find out what her name was. We've been there.
Okay, last question. This is. Maybe it's the same one, is it?
It's the same one.
Okay, that's it then. Back end.
Did I complete it?
Yes, and you survived.
I survived. I'm still here until the morning when I get cancelled for something that I said. But yeah, I'm still here for now. Excellent. I like
some brilliant answers. Interesting, big insights here.
I tried. I don't know. I tried to be honest and give genuine answers. Sometimes when you get asked a question that you've never thought about before, it's quite difficult sometimes. I like Shark's question, which was where was it? He said, I can't see it now. It's gone. I'm sure he said, "Tom, what's your name again?" at some point. But oh, there we go. I see it. I did so. I survived the exam.
Yeah.
Tom, what's your name again? There you go.
Oh yeah, one final question for you. What question should I have asked you? You know yourself better than me. Have I missed a question?
Have you missed a question? Trying to think. Is there anything we didn't touch on? I don't think so. Not really. Not really. I like the open platform. Anything you didn't ask would have required significant extra knowledge that you wouldn't have been able to attain. So I don't think so. No, I mean the breadth of your questions is I mean, I feel sorry for anyone who comes on here who has no idea.
There has been a few. We're trying to get more, so we can't tell anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I got the not the advantage, but the slight benefit of having seen quite a few before. But yeah,
similar questions, just asked different ways.
That's it, and I think it always throws people off as well, having it just spun slightly differently. It always goes. So how many interviews are you done now? Are you keeping a tally?
This is number 30. So you're number 30.
That's a nice round number. I like that.
Yeah, well, I'm trying for 100. That is my aim. Whether I'll get there.
Oh, you'll get there. You'll get there. Have you got how many more have you got lined up?
There is no one lined up. There's no people, different schedules. It's hard to get people, sir.
Right. There's got to be someone in this chat right now who needs a good roasting, is all I'm saying. Has Paul been on yet?
Yeah, Paul's been on.
Paul's been on.
Steve's been on. Shark was on the live. PA's been on. Who's in the chat? Let's see who else is.
John's already been on, hasn't he?
Yeah, John was number one.
Was he number one?
I think Phil Smith would be.
He was number one. Have you done Roscoe or Disco yet?
Yeah, we're in talks. Yeah,
we're in talks. Good. There's got to be a load to go out. There's got to be a load.
Oh, there is. Yeah, it's just getting the people free.
That's it. Has Scott been on yet?
Yeah, Scott Munn have been on.
I lose track.
Yeah. If anyone wants to go back through my list of wide interviews, it's all on my channel and a physical or whatever.
I feel like I went through them all yesterday, trying to look for relative. I did that thing where I was like, I'm going to prepare for this. I went to try and look for someone semi-similar to see what questions you're going to ask. And then I watched Raggy's. I watched Raggy's live.
Raggy was a bit drunk on his, and he was hard to hear me. That's one I kind of regret, but yeah.
Oh, I quite enjoyed that though. I thought it was good. But yeah, you'll get loads more. You'll get loads more.
Yeah.
I think. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Bramwell says, and Shark backed him up because get Slice UK on. Yeah, get Tony from Slice on.
Yeah, I think he's asked. I'm not sure.
I'll tell him he has to. We'll get him on.
Yeah, well, I'll give him a message. Tonight again, and just see.
I'm sure he'd do it. I'm sure he would. He's a good guy, he's Tony. Oh dear. No,
what have you coming up on your channel? What have you planned? Is there any exciting videos or anything new planned?
So I'm kind of in. I guess as of the end of this week, we're kind of in a phase of a lot of new stuff. So there was 2 very different videos from Scotland that came out kind of end of last week, early this week.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got a raft of stuff coming out about the beer monster machine that sat behind me. And then I'm trying to... The focus going forward is going to be try and balance individual beer reviews with maybe slightly more... I want to describe it as topical beer content, but that's not really what I mean. As it's not necessarily topical right now, but maybe more light-hearted, less dedicated review style, more just interest in a particular kind of like well-established brand or something like that. So I'm still kind of working out what that means. I've got the odd video done or ready to edit or ready to record that kind of fall into that category, but just trying to change it up a little bit because ultimately there's only so many beers people want to hear reviews about that they're never going to experience. So just trying to balance the channel up a bit between that core video, that core kind of beer thing and some more I guess, content that's akin to the live streams, which is a bit more lighthearted and vague, but at the same time entertaining. But it's I kind of feel like entering a slightly exploratory stage, so I'm not really sure how it's going to go, but we'll find out. We'll find out.
Okay. And do you have any plans like for next year, 2022? Do you have any goals, or subscriber goals, view goals?
I've always had broad. I had broad goals when I started the channel. It was kind of one of those where kind of started it for a bit of fun and then realized quite how much work was involved in putting out a video and thought, I'm happy to do this, but ultimately I only want to put video content out if people are interested in watching the video content. Because but saying that, what I hadn't kind of accounted for when I made kind of that mental decision was the people in the community that you'd meet in the process. So me 6 months ago kind of thought, well, after a year, I want to basically, I said to myself, after a year, I kind of want proof of concept, as in to have nailed down the type of video I want to create and to prove that there is people who want to view it. And then in the year after that, I basically want it to be in a position where I can produce content at no real cost, is basically what I said. So right now, obviously, every beer that I buy costs me money. Every beer pump machine, whatever, costs me money. But I'm having a great time doing it. And that's the thing that's changed, is that what I've thought before was, after basically 2 years, I kind of wanted it to be not a financial strain. So theoretically some finance coming back through the channel, which basically means needing to be on 1,000 subs and having some monetization coming back through. But what I hadn't accounted on was the kind of beer tube community and friends you meet through the way. So I'm actually on a different kind of state with that now, and that I don't, provided people are engaging and happy to have a chat and carry on going forward, I don't really care what it does, to be honest, because I'm having a great time doing it. So objectives have changed in a weird way, but kind of for the better in that sense. So yeah, but I'd like to do a bit more. It's always about a balance, because I did some different videos and people have said I'm not really interested in that, but at the same time those videos get more views from non-subscribers, which is a difficult thing to balance. And I mean, I released some stuff that was different. I mean, which one was it? It was the Glenative kind of daily vlog thing I did while I was in Scotland. I lost a couple of subs on that video, which is, it's always one of those, okay, so the views are better, but actually was a negative, like kind of negative impact on the channel. So it's difficult to make those decisions as to what you want to do. But also I've noticed that just straight up beer reviews not necessarily is what people want either. So it's trying to find that middle ground is the next objective, I guess. That was a very long-winded answer to that question, but I think we got there in the end.
Yeah. The chat about slags, it is just kind of, it's a joke between people in the chat. It's not meant to be offensive to anyone, and it's a joke between the beer community, I think, between certain people. Not to get. I think I have kept Tom long enough. We're 2 hours 15 minutes.
That's flown.
Yeah.
That has flown. That means I've done now 4.5 hours tonight collectively. So
you're used to these marathon streams. Usually only last about an hour and a half.
It's become a regular occurrence, and I don't know why, but yeah, it is what it is. But no, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me and making me think about things I've not thought about ever. So it's always appreciated.
And we will say thank you to everyone in the chat. We'll say thank you to everyone who has watched. And we'll say thank you to everyone who watched on the replay. And we will say goodbye, and we will see you on some other stream, I'm sure, everyone. Or next week or whenever. So goodbye for now. And see you next time.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.